Let's talk about it. Another video that isn't about Destiny. Scholars! Welcome to the Counselor's Office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. We're talking about Ubisoft. We're talking about Assassin's Creed. We're talking about the dumpster fire that's been going on the past month or so. Listen, I'm going to say this right now because I have not made a lot of videos on Shadows since a while ago. There's been a lot of drama going up and down, and I'm going to give you my 10 cents. Get it? 10 cents. I'm so sorry. These puns just keep coming. They just keep coming sometimes. 10 cents. Anyways, Shadows, it's out. I've watched a lot of gameplay. Listen to the story. I'm going to be very honest with you. If you see people giving it a 0 or a 1, maybe a 2, they're lying to you. Now, if you see people giving it a 9 or a 10, they're lying to you. I think it's acceptable from like 6, maybe 5 to like 8. If that's the ballpark that you want to rank how good Assassin's Creed Shadows is, I think that's fair. From 6 to 8, that's like the fair zone. I think anything really below, especially 0, 1, and 9 and 10, I think is you're lying to yourself, or you've never played a good video game in your life. When it comes to gameplay, and I'm not talking about like anything else, like gameplay, it is very unoriginal, very bland. It is very uninspiring. And overall, I was bored watching it. Especially compared to other samurai ninja games we have available currently. Like Ghost of Tsushima. Come on. I'm going to make it very clear. I've always said that what's going to kill this game is its gameplay. And I think that's still true. I don't think this is where Ubisoft needed their game to be. Now, the story-wise, I do think there is culture appropriation all over this game. And one of the biggest, I hear a lot of arguments and people going back and forth saying, well, what about Assassin's Creed 3? George Washington didn't work with an assassin. He also wasn't like a tyrant in the DLC, wasn't he? And my thought process to that is Ubisoft never advertised like relatively anywhere about historical accuracy with that. It was just inspired. Ubisoft, this is why we're talking about Ubisoft, by the way. Ubisoft is kind of like the worst version of Bungie. They're like competing with each other, like who could be the worst company. Bungie and Ubisoft are kind of neck and neck. Ubisoft advertised that this was going to be more historical accurate because Azuke or Zake or Sasuke, whatever his name is, Yazuki, that he was a samurai historically, and a lot of people like used a historian that's now been debunked because he literally made his book based on a wiki, which the wiki was made by him. There's a lot of scam and sham going on with the historical context. I think we could all agree, just based that there was a guy named Yazuke or Sasuke, at one point. Whether he was just a retainer or a samurai, I think there is not enough substantial historical evidence to support it. But if Ubisoft is like, hey, we're just going to run a story on it, I think that's fine. I think the biggest problem is they advertised it as more historical accurate, which is, they literally took an arrow to the knee, because not only did they do that, they made it to where they brought in non-binary characters. I don't even know if that was a thing in Japanese ancient history. I don't know. And then you also have Yasuke sleeping with Nobunaga's sister. Like, how to piss off the Japanese people, which is exactly what happened. Like, the government is actually taking action because of this game. And like there was like a silent patch because they made it to it was literally a silent patch because it was preventing players from vandalizing religious sites. Yeah, the Japanese government did not like that you could destroy these religious sites that are revered. Which the fact that they had to silently patch it after the government of Japan started getting upset and the people of Japan got upset tells me that you are not actually respecting other people's cultures. You are the problem. And that's the problem with white people, and apparently the French don't give a shit about anyone but themselves. And they've made it very clear. This is all just white people trying to whitewash other people's culture. Well, we don't like that, so we're gonna whitewash and make it the way we think it should be. And that's what it is. It's very racist. If you don't believe me, the final boss fight where Yasuke fights the final boss, there's literally the song. It was a hip-hop Japanese style song, which one, that's racist as fuck. Just because he's black doesn't mean it has to be hip-hop. Two, the song is literally in the lyrics, ching chong, ching chong. What? Ching chong, man. It's so racist. It's so racist. And I try to defend previously. I would say people are overblowing the whole race card but Ubisoft even made me agree that, man, this game is racist and is whitewashing and it is just culture appropriation. And it doesn't matter what white people think about this game. The Japanese have said they don't like it. And it's their culture. It's representing them. If anyone has a right to be offended, it's them. If it's anyone who has a right to say they don't like it, it's them. I don't think there's a single white person that could say, oh, well, they shouldn't do that. Fuck you. It's not your culture. Fuck off. It's like people from over in Europe saying, hey, you shouldn't be able to own, swords or guns in America. Well, fuck you. My First Amendment, asshole. I'm going to hold my shotgun to protect my home, and I love collecting knives and swords, even though I'm not running around acting like a samurai, cutting people up in the street, which you can do in Assassin's Creed. You just murder a bunch of Japanese people as a black guy. That I find it funny. So what is the big deal? So people thought that people were trying to sell that Shadows was doing a banger job, doing a fantastic job. Even Ubisoft, 3 million players. And never did they say sales, which is funny because Ubisoft was going around giving free codes to their game. Wow, totally not padding those player counts, are we? So here we have Ubisoft has partnered with Tencent to form a new subsidiary valued at 4.3 billion, where Tencent has invested 1.16 billion for a 25% stake. This subsidiary will manage key Ubisoft franchises like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, aiming to develop multi-platform game ecosystems. The move is seen as a strategy to protect Ubisoft's valuable IPs while potentially restructuring its business model. Discussions online suggest this could lead to a significant change in control or even the eventual closure of the original Ubisoft if it encounters financial issues, with the new entity holding the valuable IPs and potentially attracting top talent. Here's the deal. I don't think Assassin's Creed Shadows is a bad game. I think it's just an average game. Ubisoft needed Shadows to be a 10 out of 10. It's not. And a lot of people, most of the biggest thing people say is like, well, it looks really pretty. Okay. You can put sprinkles on a turd. It doesn't mean it's any better. And so I'm not saying it's a turd. Like, it's just an average game. So an average game with pretty graphics is still an average game. Imagine that. Ubisoft needed a banger to keep them afloat. And I think this deal was going to happen either way. I think this deal, Ubisoft was hoping to maybe get, I'm going to be honest. I think the leaders of Ubisoft were hoping for Shadows to really bump up the value, because if you looked at how the stocks were, they were down to like nothing. So they're hoping Shadows would bump up their value, so when they made this deal, the ones that are benefiting are the leaders of Ubisoft, whereas the potential loss goes to other employees and developers. Unfortunately, the effort that they put into this game is not going to pay off for them, because the only one is going to get hurt is the developers, right? we can all agree that all the poor decision making by the leaders of Ubisoft is not going to translate into them losing money. It's going to be developers and the rest of the staff that's going to lose money. No word yet what this means for other Ubisoft franchises or company approximately 19K employees. They're officially teaming up. I just want to see what people have to say. News: Assassin's Creed Shadow has reached 3 million players in just 7 days from launch. So it's like still a flop. YouTubers, social... Yes, it is. It's still a flop. Don't forget to follow. How did Monster get in the first week? Check out my post from weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, let's say Ubisoft sells off. All Assassin's Creed was doing was setting the sell price of the IP to the new subsidiary co-owned by Tencent. The deal was rumored to be pending before launch. This is how it works. Create a new subsidiary co-owned by both Ubi and Tencent. Assign it your best IPs. Watch the sales and the final evaluation after Assassin's Creed ships. Profit by owning even more of the new entity. Valued higher because it does not carry the Ubi's $2 billion in debt. As I said before, the owners make bank and avoid the anchor that is Ubisoft. Devs and mom and pop shareholders get nothing. Again, that's what I thought. People who are actually doing the effort of making the game are getting screwed over. Yeah, I mean, if you are forced to reorg your top AA company and sell 25% to the Chinese, you have not succeeded. Ubisoft spins out their best IPs, leaving the parent company a husk. Might be a smart business move, but one forced by a long period of failing to give gamers what they want. It didn't matter how well AC Shadow sold, because they already had a sweet deal lined up with Tencent to save the company. The sales are just fixed the final price, and it wasn't too much of a swing. But it definitely sounds like Ubisoft will be doing a big reorganization, potentially layoffs. TLDR, Ubisoft splitting into two companies, which they will still own bare minimum 79% of the company and have all creative controls. So surprise, Assassin's Shadows 2 next year. Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's see. Old Ubisoft will still develop and publish it, it looks like, but now they pay a royalty to the new IP holding subsidiary. Edit. Actually, articles state that even dev teams are moving over to the new subsidiaries, so that leaves old Ubisoft with not much. If old Ubisoft crashes, the value is preserved in a new entity. The IPs are the crown jewels, which can then turn around and let Tencent develop the games instead, or anyone else. So it's essentially you're saving IPs. So if the ship crashes, you got the treasure in the treasure chest, and then you let the ship die while you have the new ship. Even though everyone on the old ship, like some of the main people are on that ship, are now on the new ship. It's weird. So Ubisoft lives as predicted. Tencent was never going to let it die out. The AC and Rainbow Six IPs are worth too much. If you're wondering what this means for consumer, well, nothing. Ubisoft still has creative control of everything, so it's just another day. It sounds like it's corpo, but it is not necessarily just another day, because I think Tencent's going to have to do a lot of work. Because here we are. Here they finally went up a number and then went back down. Like, here's the Ubisoft sales. Like, it went up after they did the report of, hey, and now we're down. It's down again. However, if we look at the max, yeah, we are nowhere near. And this was before COVID, by the way. You can't be like, oh, it's COVID. This is 2018. Look how big Ubisoft was, and it is just realm. So I truly think Ubisoft is on its way into the gutter, and Tencent, with its 25% control, is going to have more say in the future in order to ensure that the leaders and developers aren't stupid. I don't know. I'm assuming there's going to be layoffs. That's my thought, is that there's definitely going to be layoffs in the future. You don't have this much of a financial dip. Because at the end of the day, what people want to see is the stock shareholders. That's all they're going to look. They see this. They're looking at these numbers and they're like, this is not good. We'll see. Overall, I find it interesting, the whole situation, because you're watching another company like Bungie literally kill themselves. The only reason Bungie still exists is because they've merged with Sony, and so Bungie doesn't have their own stocks anymore. They're now owned by Sony completely, so there is no buying out. But I imagine Bungie looked just like this before they were bought by Sony, because they were not doing so hot. We'll see how it goes, man. I mean, I like Rainbow Six Siege. There's Splinter Cell, which I want them to bring back. There's a bunch of other Ubisoft games that have either been in dormant or they've done recently that have just been hot garbage, and I just want them to redeem the quality of those games. But this is just my, like, I don't know how many videos I'll cover on this. I don't put a lot of stock into, like, Assassin's Creed anymore. They've chosen how they want to do it. I think Assassin's Creed stopped being Assassin's Creed, like, pretty much after Black Flag. Maybe it started the descent. I like Black Flag. I think it's fantastic, but I do think that the whole theme about assassins doing assassin stuff definitely started going downhill. I mean, I always keep saying Valhalla should have just been its own game instead of being Assassin's Creed. And I think the same thing could be said about Shadows. Everything I've watched and seen, you could literally just make it its own game without it being Assassin's Creed, because there was really nothing assassin-y about it. It looked like a worse version of Ghost of Tsushima. That's my final thoughts. Whether it lives or dies, I don't care. I could not care less anymore. Gameplay wise, I just no desire to waste money on it, especially $100, and they have all the microtransaction garbage in it, which is another thing. I will not support a single player game that sells micros. I won't support it unless it's free. I'm not spending up to $100 to spend more money. It's just BS. And I think a lot of the people in the community are starting to get tired and calling Ubisoft out on that too. So good. I think we can agree that that should not be part of the gaming world, even though if you play, well, I guess sports, there's multiplayer, so I guess it makes sense to open packs and all that bullcrap. But all right, I've been rambling. Short video. Let me know what you think down below. Have you played Assassin's Creed Shadow? Or are you going to play Assassin's Creed Shadow? And what do you think is going to happen to Ubisoft in the future? Let's have a conversation. Until next time, I'll see you later. Huzzah.